All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Over on Rumble, of course. I see the chat is definitely humming already. Scott Costigan waiting to clank. Shilly Willy, good morning, clankers. Russ Hanneman says clank, and Morbidly a Beast, Stick is live. Yeah, Stick, my man. Let's make sure we're actually literally live on Rumble. Yes, we're live. We've got lots to talk about today, lots of ridicule to go around for the deep state. Talking, of course, first about the Trump case and their superseding indictment with regards to Donald Trump supposedly waving around the secret Iranian papers for guests at the Mar-a-Lago. Also commanding an aide to destroy the server that was holding all of the surveillance footage from the Mar-a-Lago after he was already under probe. I have some doubts about that story. I talked about it this morning, but figured I'd reiterate it. Also, we've got another thing. We've got X derangement syndrome. It used to be Twitter derangement syndrome. Unfortunately, it's no longer TDS, variant 2. It's XDS. So we'll talk about that. And the CNN opinion piece that sounds an awful lot like opinion pieces have for months and months, warning that Twitter is going to be destroyed because evil Elon took over. You don't have to be a super fan of his or think that he's actually a full-on champion of free speech to understand that he's done good things for the site. Hi, Kitty. Yes, indeed. You can go up there if you want to. Oh, I had to move my arm. She can't. She's too fat to jump over it, I guess. Yeah, show them your asshole. Everyone loves that. And then also the White House, Biden specifically, and also Karine Jean-Pierre. If you look at the linguistics, there's a little bit of, I agree with the article, there's a little bit of a backtracking on how Biden is handling his business relations via his son Hunter. The language has changed. And when language changes suddenly like that, in response to an impetus, there's usually a legal reason when you're talking about an ongoing criminal case. We got all sorts of other shit. We've got the Canadian Minister of Mental Health. There's an interesting claim that was made there that self-exemplifies exactly what the terminology she's referring to actually exhibits. And then a bunch of other stuff. We'll be talking about all that shit. What the 11 sticks? Did you look at Archaics? I DM'd you on Twitter. Yeah, I got literally hundreds of suggestions last night for cool music. I was looking for stuff that's like really underground synth or dark wave or cold wave. I like cold wave, especially French. Or stuff where you have a song that sounds like Nifty 50s, like an Andy Griffith song, but then the lyrics are all like messed up. And I was just looking for music along those two lines, and people definitely delivered. I was listening to music for a couple of hours last night, actually, waiting while people filter in. Almost identical numbers of people on YouTube and Rumble. May the games begin. By the way, there is now merch available from yours truly through Pumpkin Fire Crafts, actually. It's an eBay store. Leather keychains and belt chains, as well as bookmarks, are available now. There's a link in the description you can visit for that. Also, keep in mind, Orange Man Big Volume 2 is still available and will be. Yesterday, I think 200 copies of it sold. That's pretty damn good. And I'm assuming that a lot of those people had read Orange Man Big Volume 1 and liked it. So again, the link is pinned at the top if you're watching on YouTube in the comments area. And it's also cross-platform in the description. I had fun writing it. I'm writing a couple more works now, including a criticism of the Marxist Manifesto. I've literally taken the 1888 English translation by Engels verbatim, and I'm going through and I'm going to be making notes. I might do footnotes, or I might have an appendix with my thoughts on different sections, because if you just skim through a couple of pages, you'll find plenty of easily refuted material. I'm sure the commies love me by now. Anyway, we'll start off with the news. Takeaways from the new charges against Trump aide and Mar-a-Lago worker in the classified documents case. And it goes through and talks about the charges. Long story short, they're now charging him, in addition to the original Mar-a-Lago classified doc charges, they're charging him with one other count, which is that he displayed the fabled Iran invasion plan, basically, document, which could not be declassified presumptively, that he was flashing that at guests, that he was showing it to visitors at the Mar-a-Lago, based partially on audio in which he talks about that particular document. The problem is we don't have actual video proof that he showed this to anyone. It could be Trump's bravado. It could be that he just waved it around briefly, in which case he's not disclosing anything that's classified because the header itself is not the classified document. It's the piece of paper that covers the classified document, protects it from dust and sunlight and so forth. So it wouldn't actually be a crime at all. We think that he possessed it. And they might go after him for something on that. But as far as the document itself, we have no proof at this particular time. And Jack Smith has not iterated this in his personal filings. There's no actual proof whatsoever that he showed it to anyone. So it's sort of a non-starter. Also, an aide at the Mar-a-Lago, who's separately charged, claims that Donald Trump told him to erase the server on which there was video footage for some time from the Mar-a-Lago, multiple camera angles. And apparently there are months and months of actual footage, like if you were to watch it consecutively, because they've got so many cameras, that's what's been obtained, subpoenaed and obtained. So good luck going through it all, number one. Number two, the only thing that we have in this particular case, and this is why this is morphed into an obvious witch trial, the only reason to believe that Trump even made that suggestion to this worker is the claim of a worker who was separately indicted who's seeking to save their own skin. In the end, they may recant. In the end, this individual might very well say, well, I know I said that at the time, but it's not, it wasn't actually true. And his main name is D. Oliveira. So Trump had a Hispanic employee, by the way. I'm wondering if the liberals are going to say anything about that. Well, the pool man was Hispanic. And apparently the allegation is that when he drained the pool, he was dumping water on the server effectively to try to fry it out or something like that. It's beyond preposterous. I've got something else, though, that I mentioned this morning, and it's something that people should probably understand. The document in question, presuming it's even there and presuming Trump even waved it around, let alone showed it to anyone, effectively was a request by General Milley, a deep stater, a unipartyist, to attack the Iranians, to go to war against a Russian puppet state. It would have caused us to be very close to the brink of World War III, over which we could have easily gone, depending on the combat situation. It was a request to the commander-in-chief to attack the Iranians, a proto-nuclear state. And Trump said no. And I think that's why they're throwing it in there and having a problem with him. He told them he was not willing to start World War III, and they got pissed about it. He wasn't willing to go to war with a direct ally of the Russians because he felt that it was a bad idea to do. I see this as a gain for Trump, at least among his core fan base. Most of us don't want more war. You see that now the parties they've done a flip like supposedly they did back in the 60s and 70s, and the Republicans have now become the party of populism and anti-war sentiment, which means that it'll win the youth in the future once the Gen Zers begin to age a little bit and they become the middle-aged demographic. I think Gen Alpha will look back on Trump a lot more mercifully than they do. So he didn't want to start a war. How's that a bad thing? He told Milley no. I'm supposed to care very much about this document, this classified document. It might have been shown to anyone. I don't care. What I care about is the fact that this prosecution is effectively laying bare the fact that Donald Trump told the deep state, no, I'm not going to start World War III, and they got pissy about it. I don't see this affecting Donald Trump's polling numbers in a negative fashion. If anything, it probably bolsters him more. If more people knew exactly the ramifications of what they're claiming, specifically, this is pertinent to him saying no to a war with Iran, which is about the craziest goddamn idea you could possibly get into your head. He stood up against the deep state. Now all of a sudden he's being prosecuted from 3 different angles. Put 2 and goddamn 2 together, Sherlock. It's not easy. It's not hard to see exactly what's happening here. Trump requested deletion of security footage. Who gives a goddamn? Who cares? The footage wasn't deleted, so the request clearly was denied by his own employees. So it's a non-starter as far as I'm concerned. Sticks X and Ham R 666. Bring back coffee mugs. Mine broke. I'd love to release a line of Sticks X and Hammer mugs. I got to figure out actually how to do that. But I would probably do that on my own, not through a third party. I'd work with some company or something. Professor Plaguebat came across a bunch of YouTube videos of animated 3D models of various content creators, and you were among them. Gave me a good laugh. Interesting. Link me on, DM me on Twitter. Ozzy's Robots. How dare you not nuke half the world? Jail for you. Exactly. They think this is a bad thing for Trump politically. I don't even know what they're thinking at this point. By the way, the DeSantis fans, they're all conspiracy mode right now. Well, they want him to win. They want him to win the primaries. That's why they're doing this. No, I think that they're desperate. I don't think that they would be doing this and breaking 250 years of civic precedent if they weren't worried. They're not operating out of an area of strength right now. Awesome Diesel. Hey, Sticks, thank you for reading this. You're welcome. Trip Boom, merch looking awesome. Sticks, got 3. Excellent. What did you get? A keychain, a belt chain, and a bookmark? Yeah, they're like little leather things, and then you can attach one to your belt and your keys and stuff like that. The bookmarks, I think, are the real winner because I know that I have a lot of fans that are bibliophiles because I release books constantly, so I think that's a good one. The Gal Faces. Ice cream so good. Coconut so good. Gang, 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 gang. What's your opinion about Mitch McCaw? Sykes, Stick, Sex, and Hammer, 666 Fumo plush merch when? Never. It will never occur. Next news story, by the way. Opinion. Musk could now be in charge of a complete brand blowout for Twitter. Yes, this is an opinion piece put on CNN, of course, talking about how Elon Musk, he bought Twitter and now he's running it into the ground. He's going to keep doing so. And it'll be a wasteland soon. It'll be a zombie site. Haven't I been hearing this over and over and over again for however many months? I can't even remember exactly when Elon Musk bought Twitter, but I keep hearing that Twitter is over. A Twitter competitor is going to kill it. People are flocking to Mastodon and Tribble and all of these other networks. And then Threads, of course, rises up. Well, this is the Twitter killer. Really, he's totally done this time. And then what happened to Threads? It's lost more than half of its engagement by now, and I don't know what the engagement level is now, but it's nowhere near its peak. It's Threads that died. Threads is the zombie site, as predicted by myself and many others. Twitter, now rebranded to X, is doing just fine. I've seen no slowdown in engagement. I'm still steadily gaining people following my feed there. I don't see any change. The only change is the logo. And the fact that x.com now reroutes to twitter.com for some people. That's the only change that I've seen. I haven't seen any slowdown in anything. I've seen a handful of people pretend to rage quit only to then come back to Twitter to bitch and to pitch the other sites they're on. And that's basically it. And all of those people are part of the far left echo chamber that is simply salty over the fact that X no longer mass censors people. Shadow banning is still a problem. There are people being wrongfully banned still. There is still algorithmic throttling on site, as I predicted many moons ago. Elon Musk is not a principled free speech warrior. He's running a corporation. But they did mass unban a shit ton of people. There is less censorship now, and it is more laid back. It is a better atmosphere than it was before Elon Musk took over. That's just the point. I don't see anything happening negatively to the site. I mean, it doesn't have a competitor. TikTok is now releasing sort of a Twitter-esque style text posts. YouTube's been doing that for a while, dude. You can go right onto your homepage and you can update people in text onto their feeds. That didn't seem to kill Twitter when they pulled that off. So Threads is dead. Mastodon is a graveyard of child porn mainly. Tribble is a joke. Nobody uses that site. Truth Social is used, but really it's used by like Trump super fans, and most of them use Twitter as well. I think most people that have Truth Social, they're hanging on every word Trump says, and many of them are journos and activists and shit, and they just want to have a scoop. They want to be able to analyze what Trump says before it makes the rounds to leftoid Twitter and then gets all cut and diced apart and misinterpreted. Please name me a competitor for Twitter in specifically what Twitter does. It's more likely that X is going to add other components and begin competing with them. You'll probably see a video style thing like Vine come back. Elon Musk has talked about this openly, in which case it competes with TikTok. You could see other functionalities, more blog style functionalities. It's already segueing towards that, but it's not quite there, competing with WordPress and Blogspot and Substack and sites like that. I haven't seen a slowdown. I keep hearing that Twitter is dying. I keep hearing engagement is collapsing and everyone's leaving the site and everyone's mad at Elon Musk. I don't see that. It hasn't affected me in any negative way, and I use that as a pretty good indicator of the interest in the site. If all of a sudden, overnight, I lost 5,000 people following me, I'd say, oh shit, well, I guess X really is having some hard times. Instead, the audience is growing. So I have a feeling that that's just bullshit. I call it bullshit because it is. I call it how I see it. Alan Smithy, come on down to Aussie's Robots in Roanoke, Texas. Get a discount with promo code STICKS. No more super chats. That's about all. Peace out. The Post. Sticks. Imagine an imaginary menagerie manager imagining managing an imaginary menagerie. Interesting. The Agile Faces. They released a new video platform. I'm not going to say that on a YouTube live stream. I get the joke, though. It would be funny if Elon Musk bought that, too. He probably has the money to do so. Scott Steiner, the world's greatest ring announcer. Will Vermont carry become the law of the land since multiple states created laws which clearly go against Bruin? Will SCOTUS take up on an AW ban case? Probably. I think that we're moving in that direction. Jeffrey Duran. Good morning, Sticks and friends. Just got the 5.5% raise at work. That almost matches the Fed raise. Thanks for all your quality work, Sticks. I'll be buying a copy of Orange Man Big Volume 2 from LA, California. Good on you. Congrats on your raise. It effectively means that you are now immune to inflation for a short period of time. Scarfy the Strange. Pipkin Pippa thinks you are Californian moist critical. She also thinks you are based. No clue what you're referring to. Probably a meme that's going over my head due to my ignorance about a TV show or something like that. Many such cases. I'm not hip to celeb culture and film and stuff like that for the most part. Source on Pippa, yeah, I've heard the term Pippa Pipkin. Is that a content creator? I'm probably showing my ignorance, but my apologies. Trip Boom, lol, good guess. That's actually what I got, the orange ones and the blue bookmark. Nice. Drake, clank clank, Negro. If you use the other term, I would get banned if I said it on YouTube. Mrs. Tag, happy first birthday to Mountain Baby. I'll put this clip in his wedding video one day. Cool. Congratulations. Pipkin Pippa is a pink rabbit girl who plays video games. Huh. Yeah, I don't really watch gaming streams and stuff like that. But yeah, it's good. It's always good when someone likes the material. It doesn't matter who it is. Yeah. I prefer to when I game. Like I had put up a few clips of me gaming a few times, like from Fallout 4 and a few others. I don't understand it. Like actually, I kind of admire gaming streamers because when I'm in a game, I just want to immerse myself fully. I don't want anything else going on. I don't want to think about having to do commentary and stuff. I had like a Minecraft commentary series. That's a little bit better. It's more laid back because it's fucking Minecraft. I've thought about reviving that, but Minecraft refuses to migrate my account anyway. So as of September, I think I can't play it anymore because, Microsoft sucks dick and balls. Anyway, yeah, it's interesting. I don't understand how you can game and actually enjoy doing. I guess if you get paid enough and see it as sort of a job, I'd have burnout at some point from that. White House backtracks on Hunter's business deals. Oh, very interesting. We're going to read through some of this a little bit verbatim because it's as someone who likes linguistics, it's quite telling. The language is undeniably different, and yet White House officials said 4 different times Wednesday nothing has changed concerning President Biden's longstanding denial that he was ever involved in the foreign business dealings of his son Hunter. House Republicans, meanwhile, contend that the deviation in wording now employed at the White House reflects a strategy to distance the president from Hunter Biden. It does. It absolutely does. Ahead of potentially damaging new testimony. Biden told Fox News on the campaign trail in September 2020, I have never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings. A categorical denial he later repeated in the next month in a radio interview with WBZ Boston when he said, I don't discuss business with my son. But the verbiage shifted in June when Ian Sams, a spokesman for the White House counsel's office, told the Washington Examiner, as we have said many times before, the president was not in business with his son. On Tuesday, the White House press secretary repeated that line, which means that it's been time tested. This is the result of the White House understanding that people are aware of the fact that indeed, Joe Biden did discuss business with his son. That original lie has been completely discredited. We've got whistleblowers, we've got testimony, we've got literally everything that we need. It would be a cut and dry case in a court of law. Joe Biden did discuss business with his son. We know this because he was on calls with his business partners. Well, there's nothing else that you're discussing at the time. Now what they're claiming is he was not in business with Hunter Biden. So, yeah, he talked to the business magnate. Yeah, he talked to him while he was talking to Hunter, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it wasn't a quid pro quo. It wasn't an attempt to leverage his vice presidential or post-vice presidential influence, probably presidential influence at this point. I have to assume that this sort of thing is still going on. It wasn't that. All he did was jump on the call. He was interested in what his son was doing, but he wasn't in business with him. See, before it was he didn't discuss it. Now it was, yeah, he did, but he wasn't a business partner of any kind. He didn't get a cut or anything like that. We know that he did. It's self-explanatory. Again, the evidence is already there. That being said, you have to get actual proof of that in order to proceed further. I'm skeptical as to whether the deep state that controls groups like the DOJ, FBI, etc., is ever going to permit anyone to have full-on evidence that Joe Biden acted in such a manner. But we know that he did. We can infer that quite easily. Again, you don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to see through the lies of the Biden crime family. It's not that difficult. It's called using a very small amount of common sense. So we can say that declaratively. Yeah, Joe Biden did do business with his son. He just had to back off of his first layer of defense because it was completely imploded. Joe paid for the whores. He did not enjoy the whores, says Broken Prophet. Yeah, exactly. He knew everything that his son was doing, was intricately involved, loves him very much. He loves everything about his life. He's so talented, did nothing wrong. Joe, if he did nothing wrong, then why do you have to keep reiterating to people over and over and over and over again that you never did anything business related to him? Well, you backed off the original claim now, haven't you? But for several years, your claim was that you never even discussed it with him, which, of course, is asinine. Even in an informal conversation, of course, you're going to talk about, hey, son, you got any new business deals cooking? What are you up to these days? Have a seat, have some crack or something. At least in an informal environment, they obviously talked about his business. It's like, if Hunter Biden came out tomorrow and said, I never talked to my dad about anything regarding his presidency, would you believe that? When he calls up daddy, he never mentions anything like, hey, what are your thoughts on that new bill or something like that? So in other words, they love each other very much. They've got a very close bond, but they literally never talk about anything business related. I call bullshit on that. I think that that's the biggest bullshit Biden's ever spun. Bayonne 201. Don't take gabapentin at night. You will wake up feeling drunk and rip off the toilet seat accidentally and smash into multiple picture frames as you try to make it back to your bed. Weird ass shit. I never took gabapentin. No, I mainly just used some psychedelics and smoked weed back in the day. I haven't done that in a very long time, though, actually. I don't plan to go back to doing any psychotropic substances at this point. I mean, that ship has sailed at this point. I'm 35. I think that I'll just, enjoy gardening or something like that. I've had my wild times as a 20-something, a college kid. I think at some point, and I've got a daughter, so, at some point you got to buckle down. I'm never going to be mature. I'm always going to be wild and say and do weird shit, but doing LSD or something like that is definitely not on my priority list. Claudius, 1964. You notice when the press calls out old Joe, how he always goes into defensive mode? Yes. A symptom of Alzheimer's, actually. His originally feisty attitude is extra spicy these last few years, you'll notice. Babybug Express. I sticks without reservation. Recommend Babybug Express for all your expedited trucking needs. And his shorts are great. Interesting. Oh, this is a funny one. This isn't so much a major news story as just it's almost self-deprecation. Let me explain. This is Canada's Minister of Mental Health. She's talking about some legalese bullshit motion for confirmation of the declaration of urgency. I can't actually read that because it won't full screen. Here, just a second. Declaration of emergency, sorry. And she brings up the term honk honk. in this. Of course, people, they use honk honk as a colloquial expression that something is preposterous. Something is dumb as fuck. It's beyond belief. It's gotten to the point where a rational person would look at it and assume that it's a joke, but it's not. This typically applies to sociopolitics. Now, I'm preaching to the choir for 99% of you. You obviously know what honk honk means. But there's a conspiracy theory among leftoids that keep getting honked on because they realize that it's effective when they're basically being termed clowns. To say that honk honk means Heil Hitler. And unfortunately, it looks like the obviously mentally ill Minister of Mental Health in Canada has latched on and actually believes this. Either that or is just pushing this as, again, the leftoid conspiracy theory that it is. That's not what honk honk means, but Zier seems to believe that that's actually the case. And the funny thing is that it's self-deprecation, because the kind of claim that she's making is the sort of thing that would be labeled honk honk. I just thought it was funny. Somebody tipped me off to this post, and oh my God, I was laughing at this because, I mean, I've seen the claim before, and it always comes from someone who's completely unknowledgeable about anything like the under 30 sort of internet demographic or internet subculture in general, regardless. It's some stuffy business suit wearer like this woman. It's someone who's stuffy and professionalistic and out of the loop. Somebody, a boomerist, basically. I don't think she's old enough to be a boomer, but someone with like a stereotypical boomer mentality. I mean, honk honk doesn't mean Heil Hitler. It may mean Hail Hortler. That's about as close as I can grant her. She just said it wrong. Hail Hortler. Ozzy's Robots. Tomorrow my son Andrew's getting married. Congrats. Beach wedding at our home. Late July in Florida. Hopefully no one passes out. Congrats to Andrew and Way. Nice. Congratulations. Give my congratulations to the young couple. Aerodynamic 11. Suggestion for a synthwave band. The Midnight. Their signature songs are Los Angeles and encore is Sunset. I'm seeing them on Sunday. Happy Friday. Cool. Only ever been to one concert in my life. That was back in my teens, and it was actually John Garrity or whatever the fuck his name was. He was a Christian rocker. So, yeah, I didn't like that. It's too loud. I don't like concerts. Too many people around. X. Pensick folks. Welcome home. Let's see. We've got Ronin361. Backtracking a little, Musk is friendly with the CCP. I don't believe he would bring back Vine to compete with TikTok. While he may be friendly with certain Chinese entities, he's also a cutthroat businessman. And so if he thinks he can make money at it, and he would, by the way, especially when more and more U.S. states are optioning the concept of banning or throttling TikTok, yeah, he should move into the market. He can make billions and billions of dollars. I would advise him to do that. If I was him, I would do it. I'd be doing it now. I'd already have it in development. Just can't you just bring back all the code from Vine online, change the name, and tweak a few things? You can probably do it in an afternoon. Next news story. On the drag, time blindness trend is sweeping Gen Z as tearful TikToker complains she just can't get to work on time. Sarah Trefrin, who goes by the name Chaotic Philosopher on the app, said she got yelled at for asking if there were accommodations for her affliction when applying for a position. Her emotional video prompted a flurry of criticism, well-deserved, with commenters dismissing her concerns and telling her to simply use an alarm. I would say the same goddamn shit. I like how some of these pieces are basically coping. And they're saying, well, there is such a thing as time blindness, kind of. Some people, they tend to lose track of time. It's very common among those who have ADHD. Like with myself, I lose track of time all the time. I use an alarm when I need to. The best thing about my life is generally I don't give a shit, and I don't have to do that because everything is sort of timed by the cats. The cats wake me up in the morning pretty reliably. There's about a half an hour wiggle room. I go to work. I do my work. Since I work from home and don't have to go to a job or anything like that, unless there's something in the schedule like a doctor's appointment or something, I don't have to give a shit about scheduling. So, my apologies for those that do. It is definitely an advantage for somebody who spurgs out like myself and has difficulty with social interaction and convention. I like to pretty much march to the beat of my own drum, schedule-wise and everything-wise. Buy an alarm clock. What, you're too fucking stupid to figure out how an alarm clock works? Hey, I've got to get to work at 8 o'clock. Or 9 o'clock, standard job. I've got to get to work by 9. I set my alarm for 7:30 and a second alarm for 8. So I wake up, I prepare, I shower, do whatever the fuck I do in the morning, take a piss. And then the second alarm goes off and I know, okay, it's time to cook breakfast, or, probably in her case, just drink a shot of Soylent and then get in the car and fucking go. It's really that simple. This technology has existed for a very, very long time. People have been using grandfather clocks and shit like that long before electrification. You can't figure out how to use a goddamn cuckoo clock? You can get an app for it on your phone, by the way. I'm sure that your phone can figure it out. The cuckoo clock app. Somebody should develop that if it doesn't already exist, but knowing the app-driven world, it probably already does. I mean, come on. You've got an alarm on your phone. Just make sure that it's plugged in so it doesn't go off. I mean, you might get fired for that if you do it a couple times. The idea of time blindness, though, that's newspeak. It's not called time blindness. It's called being a space cadet. It's called having your head in the clouds. We've already got terms to amply cover this. I do this too. I'm fully familiar with the feeling of, hey, I start doing something. I sort of lose track of time. And then before you know it, 5 hours have passed. When I'm gardening, that happens all the time because I'm so engrossed in what I'm doing. I'm so interested in it. I'm like, oh shit, where did the time go? When I'm hanging out with my daughter, I really, really enjoy that. By the way, time really does fly when you're having fun in this instance. I'll be down there playing with toys, reading a book to her, watching, one of her shows with my daughter. And all of a sudden, I lay down there at 2 o'clock, and all of a sudden Liz says, oh, it's 5 o'clock. It's time for a bottle or something. I'm like, what? How? It's impossible. Now, 2.5 hours haven't passed. It's like, it feels like 30 minutes or something like that, but it really has. I understand. Many people have that problem. You don't need to give it a new moniker, and asking for accommodations from a workplace to be late for work because you're too fucking stupid to figure out your goddamn alarm clock is just asinine. Give it a goddamn rest. Stop trying to be a special snowflake. And really, this creator has gotten exactly what she wants, which is a lot of attention. And so now a lot of people are pouring in on her TikTok, and she'll make a little bit more clickbait revenue for complaining about the fact that she can't get to work on time. Yes, you can. It's called willpower. Where there's a will, there's a way. I'll tell you what to do. Plug in alarm clock. Okay, this is step one. I know you Gen Zers can be a little bit scatterbrained with regards to complex instructions. Plug in alarm clock. Determine what time it is. Program in the time. Now program in the alarm. Most alarm clocks, you can do multiple. There you go. I know that was really complex. It's really hard to figure out. I used to have to do that. Like, back in the day before the smartphone generation, you get the old manual alarm clock with the radio and everything, which these days is considered quaint, I'm sure, or retro. Maybe it's considered cool by now. And, you put in the alarm so you can get to school. You put in the alarm so you can get to class in college. You put in the alarm so you can fuck yourself or whatever the fuck you have to do at a certain given time. That's all you have to do. It's not that difficult. What are you goddamn talking about? There's even the fucking legacy news article that's coping and seething and defending this crazy individual is talking about how there's expert advice on how to compensate for your time blindness. Use an alarm. Use calendar. There's no such thing as time blindness. Everyone has problems with gauging time sometimes, at least situationally. Most people aren't human alarm clocks. It's just the way of the world. That's why man invented various technologies in order to compensate for his stupidity. It's like mankind decided, getting from point A to point B is pretty tedious. I better invent a car. David Green. Happy 64th birthday to me, Clankdom. Never expected it. Happy birthday, David Green. May you have a good one. Eat some cake. Jared Wines. Good morning, Sticks. Message or follow Matt Strickland, former VA Senate candidate, for all the info on Glenn Youngkin. Please don't advocate for him. He's an absolute corrupt slimeball. Matt has receipts. Oh, I know he's a sleazebag politician. I've just talked about the fact that in the future he would be at the top of viability were he to run. Of course, all of that stuff would come out of the woodwork. I am familiar with some of the claims against him with regards to sleazebag activity. Nonetheless, when most politicians have the same fucking problems, he would still be near the top of the heap. That's all I was saying. Jake Lanarino. You mentioned me in a video once, and I got 1,000 new viewers. YouTube is censoring me for going against the C19er narrative. Can I get another shout out? Okay, shout out to Jake Lanarino. You can follow his material if you would like to do so. Shout out to you, my man. I should go back to doing the occasional shout out video too. I kind of enjoy doing that, uplifting, smaller creators. Although these days, I mean, YouTube algorithmically pounds me in the ass too, so nobody sees the fucking video, and therefore it's harder for it to have an impact. They banned Sleazy some time ago. It's like I made a video that was promoting his content. He gains, I can't remember how many fucking subscribers. They boot him off the site. It's like, fuck you, YouTube. Christina, thanks all the clankers that have bought Styx merch this morning. Thanks to Styx for letting us provide it to you all. I am working on international shipping. Yes, that will be a thing that will have to be addressed. It looks good to me. I'll be getting probably a bookmark or something like that myself. Again, international shipping rates apply. Ozzy's Robots. I should create a few limited edition Styx bots. We could work on something like that, actually. That would be something I would be willing to entertain. At this point, I'm not doing merch through any one person. I'm just saying people who freelance it, they make something crafty, whatever. We can talk about it. I can't say yay to everyone, but I can say yay to some. And that sounds like an interesting idea. Alan Smithy, come on down to Hunter's Crack Den in Washington, D.C. Use code the big guy for 10% off. Yeah. 10% off your crack cocaine. I need some crack, man. Get it. So high on crack cocaine. The CIA gave it to me themselves. Jason of TGA. As a longtime pro-conspiracy theorist, I'm really enjoying these clowns coming up with nothing better than schizophrenic accusations of dog whistling. Yeah. Wasted Bonehead. Styx, I will be live tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Central. Could I get that sweet shout out? Wasted Bonehead will be live tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. Central Time. You can go ahead and watch Wasted Bonehead get wasted. Uncle Gib, a little off topic. Thank you for the $50, by the way. But wanted your quick thoughts on Bellingcat. As a Netherlands corp, maybe you have a little more insight. I have my own thoughts, but would like another viewpoint to stay objective. Bellingcat. It sounds familiar. Just a sec. It sounds familiar. Bellingcat. Netherlands-based investigative journalism group that specializes in fact-checking and open-source intelligence. Oh, fact-checking? So, in other words, I probably oppose it. I knew that it was familiar to me for a reason, that term. I didn't know that was Dutch, though. I oppose internet fact-checking in general out of hand because the groups that are always doing the fact-checking do an atrocious job at it. The closest thing that we have on the whole internet at this point to real fact-checking is just the democratic response of people in comment sections. That's the fact-checking, which is why comments are more and more censored and even removed from websites. That's why replies are throttled across many vlogging sites especially, because they don't want the fact-checking. Why do you think that Rotten Tomatoes won't let people fact-check whether a movie is good or not? The critics gave it a 95%. The audience gave it a 10%. What do? They switch to only the ratings by people that are verified so that it's a little bit higher to hide the fact that the movie fucking sucks balls. Liquid Blake, have you watched Wrangle Star Game, the YouTube algorithm, and become the most base Giga Chad in history? Wrangler Star Game. I have never heard of it, actually. Cam2425IA, check out Sam Holmes Sailing. I'm trying to get more non-political channels on here. Nice. And just a sec. Oh, yes. Then we've got everyone knows that I'm a frequent critic of Ron DeSantis. He's made numerous mistakes. HB 269, opposing the First Steps Act, his low blow at Trump right after the indictment, the first indictment happened. His reformulation of his campaign shows, in my opinion, weakness, not strength. He's just all around not a great candidate. He's fallen off a cliff now. He's lost more than 10 points of support from peak. He's basically done. But I see one criticism of him coming from the liberal legacy media that really needs to be debunked. And that's the concept that Ron DeSantis is chasing trans kids' families out of the state by denying them life-saving care. Link in the description, not archived because it's a video clip from CNN, a fluff piece / sob story. Our kid is not allowed to transmogrify themselves, possibly down the road killing themselves because they regret it. Can I ask something? And it's a controversial thing to ask. And normally when you ask this, you're considered to be like a Bible-thumping Christian or something like that. You're a severe moralist or an authoritarian. I am the opposite of these things. I am completely irreligious and I am anything but authoritarian. Can I please rhetorically ask, though, if anyone can explain the difference between gay conversion therapy and gender affirmation surgery? Is there really any big difference between these two things? You're attempting to alter the natural state of your body because you feel bad about your body on one hand. You're attempting to alter the natural state of your use of your body because you feel guilty about it on the other hand. What's the difference? Gay conversion therapy is banned in a number of states. By the way, I actually support that because I think that it's abusive psychologically. Why is it therefore not acceptable to ban this, at least for minors? If a person wants to go, they're 19 years old, they want to go and have their penis inverted and turned into a bonus hole or whatever the fuck they're calling it now. I don't care. They've got the money for it. As long as taxpayers aren't funding it, I don't give a shit. They want to, potentially get sepsis or something. There are surgical complications. If they want to have to shave, their forearm penis or whatever, I don't necessarily think it's a good idea, but they're an adult. They can do what they want. And of course, if you try to prevent them from doing so, they can always go to Mexico or something. They'll be more than happy to do that anyway. I take up a similar stance on many issues. That being said, these are children that we're talking about. And there's no possibility that a 12, 13-year-old child is capable of understanding fully the long-term possible complications of having done gender reassignment surgery. It's not possible. We recognize this with age of consent laws, by the way. We recognize, hey, the 13-year-old, they're going through puberty and stuff, but they're not really capable of consent because they can't understand the full grasp of consent. They can't understand the risks associated. Some 13-year-old girl, okay, she's capable of having sex, but if she gets pregnant, you got a big problem potentially. It is not psychologically capable. You're violating the non-aggression principle by interacting with, if you're an adult, by interacting with them in a sexual manner. It's cut and dry. There's no real debate to be had about this. Why doesn't the same go towards their ability to consent to a life-changing procedure that could have the long-term complication of total infertility? There could be scarring. It could get botched. It could get sepsis. They could die. That's another thing. There's no recognized health benefit to it beyond the psychological aspect that in some cases appears to clear itself up anyway upon reaching adulthood. I don't look down on people for getting bottom surgery or something because I just don't fucking care what they do in their lives, but those are adults. Kids should not be effectively, in some cases, it seems that there's coercion involved. The parents are they're doing what parents did in the 90s and saying, my child is an indigo child. Therefore, I give them Ritalin. It's not really, they're an indigo child. They're special. They're special. We did this with autism too. They've done this a number of times. You see, my child is special. Now they say, well, little Jimmy's special. He's not like the other boys. He doesn't like rough and tumble. He likes playing with a tea set. Okay, it's time to get your penis inverted. Come on, dude. That's nuts. DeSantis is not wrong on this issue. By the way, the one snag here is that DeSantis people keep making the bullshit claim that Donald Trump is in support of such things happening. That's funny. I haven't seen him say so. In fact, I've seen him say the opposite. He just doesn't care if an adult transgendered individual wants to use the bathroom of their choice. That opens up an entirely separate can of worms, although I don't think that Caitlyn Jenner is perving on anyone in the bathroom. So other than the fact that DeSantis fans use that as a sleazy, cheap, below-the-belt and false attack line against Trump and MAGA, DeSantis doesn't need to be railroaded for what is a sane state policy. It's not authoritarian to protect kids' rights. That's like saying, well, you're robbing kids of the right to suck 30-year-old dick if you have an age of consent law. Think of all the 12-year-olds whose dreams you're ruining. Can you imagine anyone making that particular claim? They'd shit their pants if somebody made that claim, although, with Vaush and a few other people, you're never quite sure what they're going to say next. How is it any different? It's not any different. There's a reason for that law existing in the first place. It's bullshit. Horseshit. Ron DeSantis is right on Disney. He's also right on that particular issue. So I'll give credit to DeSantis where credit is due. You are undisputably correct on the issue of gender transforming 10-year-olds. Ozzy's Robots. Interesting how creators that advocate self-improvement and independent thought like you and Dr. Shiva get algorithmically suppressed the most. I have wondered if it has something to do with that. Maybe if I black-pilled people more and said, it's all over, just go home and hang yourself, YouTube would probably like me a little bit more now, wouldn't it? Hi, Pot Thesis. You see Dana White's pro-Trump speech last night? No, I didn't. I'll look it up maybe. Although I have to make hot dogs and homemade French fries later. Hopefully I'll make them well. I do. The Patriot Cairo. Supposedly there are infinite genders, you can claim, but gender reassignment surgery only has 2 options. Interesting. Yeah, why can't you stylize the new penis or vagina? Why can't you add 4 holes to the vagina? You're alien kin or something. If it's all in your head, it's just an identity. Why can't they get more creative? Why don't you have a shark penis looking thing on there? Why can't you put the penis on someone's hand so that they can, finger fuck other people and penis fuck them at the same time? Why is that not allowed? Why is that not a thing? The Patriot Cairo, transitioning is not a cure for mental illness. True. I just find, again, I don't care if adults do whatever the hell they want. There are plenty of mentally ill adults out there. Look at Britney Spears. She dances around, does crazy shit. I don't believe in conservatorship or something for her. She should do what she wants. She's a 40-year-old woman. Let her have fun. Let her dance around on a TikTok video. Who fucking cares? It's not your life. It's not your choice. It's not your business. You either like the video or you don't like the video. I don't care if she decides to have sex live on stream. Okay, it might be freaky. It might be weird. It's probably not a great decision for branding purposes, but she's an adult. Let her do what she wants. I hold the same for every other adult in every way. Like, you want to smoke crack, you're probably going to die, but yeah, I don't care if you smoke crack. Just don't smoke it around me or while you're driving and put me in danger or something like that, and we're all good. But these are kids we're talking about. Bara, Sticks makes things the right way. I am getting very good at cooking, I will admit. I made lentil soup last night. I made it a little too tomatoey. Otherwise, it was perfect. And the other day, I made... what the fuck did I make? And I can't exactly remember what I made the other day, but it was really good. Ardent Party. Sticks, could you shout out me too, please? Got a YouTube and Rumble. Plus, Sultans of Chatelet on Saturdays. I do woodworking and uplifting stuff on YouTube and Polysnark on Rumble. Okay, Ardent Party with a D on the end. You get your shout out. Conservacuck. Good morning, bonus hole havers. Wasted bonehead. Sticks. I once told someone trans I was undead and they called me an insensitive jerk. Necrophobia is rampant throughout the trans community. I'm wondering, has anyone who ever had like a hole put in their throat, like tracheotomy, has ever gotten into like fetish porn and then they have someone like fuck their throat or something? Just saying. I mean, it seems like all societal civic standards of common sense have, I'm all fuzzy, have gone by the wayside. So we might as well take it to the extreme. And then the final news story. We've got something really funny here. This is a big whoopsie by the British. The British Ministry of Defense has launched an investigation after emails containing classified information were sent to a close ally of Russia in a typing error. You're never going to believe what they did. The emails were intended for the U.S. military, which uses the domain name .mil. But they missed out the letter I, and so the messages went instead to the West African nation of Mali. This is one of the greatest botch jobs I've ever seen. Maybe they did it on purpose. The British are trying to backstab us. We better get ready with sanctions, right, Joe? Defense officials say the emails did not contain information that could compromise operational security. No, but they were classified. Misuse of classified information seems to be big in the news lately. Maybe somebody's head should roll there. The mistake, they said, involved only a small number of emails being sent to Mali, whose email is .ml. How many emails? You say a small amount. That doesn't necessarily reassure anyone who has a thinking neuron in their head. We have opened an investigation after a small number of emails were mistakenly forwarded to an incorrect email domain, an MOD spokesperson told PA News Agency. We are confident they did not contain any information that could compromise operational security or technical data. The spokesman added that all sensitive information used by the government department was shared on systems designed to minimize the risk of redirection. Yes. So you sent classified material meant for the U.S. military to Mali. I'm sure they'll sell it to Russia. Mali is a severely underdeveloped nation. Capital Timbuktu, by the way. As also... interest. I thought it was funny because Mali is actually the basis for a cartoon that I did for years when I was younger, which lampooned my own dad. He was called Galley Dad, and Galley was an adaptation of the term Mali, And the joke was that this individual was delusional and would go out to his sandbox and pretend to be the dictator of an a Saharan African nation. But he didn't know how to say Mali, so he said Gali instead, and he would get all fucked up and do weird shit. And I thought that was fun. Every time we visited my grandfather, I would make a new cartoon strip. Just a little bit of a backstory on why I find this extra funny. Awesome Diesel. Oh, you're thinking of the children. Yeah, thankfully, I don't think of the children the way that that Joe Biden does. Ricadas lubed, used, and smelly Baldo. Happy Friday to my fellow right-wing extremists. And King of Biltong. Good, because I'm actually going offline in just a minute here. Don't send any more super chats, everyone, because I got to get to prepping for the hot dogs. I am definitely in the mood for hot dogs and French fries. King of Biltong. Good morning from Antons in Roanoke, Texas. Free shipping on your Biltong on antonsusa.com and landofbiltong.com. Using code STICKS. Have a great weekend, everyone. Hashtag Clank Nation. Yeah, but keep in mind, before I go offline here, there is a link in the description, and it's also pinned at the top in chat if you're watching on YouTube, to Orange Man Big, Volume 2. Several hundred copies sold yesterday, so I'm pretty optimistic about its long-term sales potential. People really like the first volume. Just get those ratings in there. If you get a copy, I do beg of you to leave a rating. It really massively does help any content creator that has material, especially on Amazon. It is still heavily weighted by how many stars that product has or how many actual reviews. If you leave a review, it's even more valuable, but it takes at least a few minutes out of your time, and not everyone has the time. So if you want some lampooning of far leftists and their depraved fantasies about Donald Trump and their self-deprecation and masochism, you'll love it. If you like political satire, you'll probably like it as well. And also remember that merch is now available. There's another link in the description to the Pumpkin Fire Crafts page on eBay, selling some keychains, belt chains actually, and also bookmarks made with leather with the Ouroboros and Styx Hexenhammer 666 labeled on them. They look pretty cool, and I'll probably be getting a bookmark for myself at some point. So you can check those out at your leisure. There may be more offerings soon. Of course, Ozzy might DM me and want to release robots now too. Styx Hex and robots. Whoever thought of that one? I'm gonna have to get a licensing agreement going or some shit. I'm getting a lot of good shit lately. I'm having a lot of fun. Content creation for a while there was growing a little stale. Over the last month or so, I think it's picked up a lot more, despite the fact that YouTube keeps fucking me in the asshole. And they're a bunch of sodomites, I suppose. That's about all. Peace out.